Good evening or good afternoon, my Math 186 students. Today I will be demonstrating assignment number 2 for those who just need to make sure that you understand it correctly. And the worksheet is called Fractions, Decimals, and Percents. And I'm going to also show you the Roman numerals since I want you to start looking at and doing pages 4 through 8 in your text, 1 through 100. Okay. So the first one says, write each as a decimal, round to the nearest thousandths place. I noticed that many of you rounded to the hundredths place, which is absolutely okay. All right, so you have 90% here. The decimal is always behind the last number if you cannot see it whatsoever. All right, so we want to move that decimal 2 places to the left. 1, 2. All right, so we're moving our decimal 2 places to the left. All right, so that answer will be 0.90. Okay, if you follow the directions, which does say round to the nearest thousandths place, this is to the hundredths. This is tenths, hundredths. So if you wrote 0.900, technically you followed directions. If you wrote it as 0.90, which we are used to in all of the textbooks, then that is absolutely fine as well. Okay, for number 2, it says 30%. The decimal is behind the last number. Okay, so we're going to move our decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, which would make 0.30. And if you did according to the direction, which it says round to the thousandths place, that would be 0.300. So tenths, hundredths, thousands, but we are used to or accustomed to putting it in the hundredths place, which is absolutely fine. The next set says write each as a percent, round to the nearest tenth of a percent. Many of you like to multiply by 100, which is absolutely fine. So you have 0.52, and it is a decimal. We just want to move that decimal 2 places to the right. 2 places. So if I'm here in between the 0 and the 4, I want to move it twice. So that's 1 and 2. So that will be 45.2%. Okay. And notice that it said round to the nearest tenth, which means you have one number behind the decimal. Okay. For number 10, we have 0.006, and we will read that as 6 thousandths. 6 thousandths. Okay, we're going to move that decimal 2 places to the, oh yes, that's correct, 2 places to the right. So that's 1, 2. So I'm in between the 0 and the 6. So you will write that as 0.6%. All right, to the tenths place. So if you've done that, you've done a wonderful job. Let me turn the page. Okay. So I want to make sure I get all of this in the video. Okay, the next one says write each as a fraction. So if I have 25%, I want to first write it over 100. Okay, and when I say show word, I want you to tell me what you divided by. All right, in order to reduce or simplify your fraction. So 25 goes into 25 once. 25 goes into 100 4 times, so that fraction is 1/4. Okay, so 25% is 1/4 as a fraction. Okay, the same thing for number 18. If you have 70%, we will write it as 70 over 100, and then we want to reduce or simplify. In many books they say simplify the fraction. So we're going to think of a number that will go into 70 and 100, which of course needs to be the same exact number. 10 goes into 70 7 times. 10 goes into 100 10 times. So that number is 7 over 10, which is simplified. Okay, next it says write each as a percent. So if I have 1/2, okay, we talked about this. All right, your numerator or your top number goes in, your denominator or your bottom number goes out. Okay, 2 won't go into 1, so we're going to add a decimal before we start adding zeros. Okay, So now 2 won't go into 1, but 2 will definitely go into 10 5 times. Okay, 5 times 10 is 10. So this is 0.5. Okay, as a decimal. And we're not finished yet because it asks for what? The percent. So this is the decimal form of it. And we already have talked about how to get it to a percent by moving the decimal what? 2 places to the right. So if I'm here at 0.5 and I move my decimal 2 places, get it right here so you have a good example. That will be 1, 2. So this blank space, I want you to fill it in with a 0. So that will be 50%. All right, so make sure you always read the directions carefully and give me exactly what the direction asks for. So it asks for the percent. So in order to, you had to first change your fraction to a decimal and then your decimal into a percent. Okay. That is it for this week 2's worksheet. Next, we're going to do pages 4 through 8. But first, I want to just give you a crash course on Roman numerals. Okay? Okay. I want you to know that the Roman numeral 1 stands for 1. The V stands for 5. X stands for 10. Okay, so that's X, Roman numeral X. L stands for 50, and C stands for 100. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to write the Roman numeral for each number, okay, just say for 2. Okay, we'll write it just like this. Okay, the Roman numeral, just say we're looking at 36. Okay, so I would definitely be looking at the tens because it's going to be much easier. If not, it's going to be hard writing 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, V, V. That's a lot of V's. So here we're going to write this 3 times. That makes 30. 10, 20, 30. So I can write X, that's 10. Another X, 20. Another X, that's 30, correct? Okay, I can write a V for 5. All right, so that's 35. And one more.